I know some of my subscribers are mostly confused on the fact that I'm going to do another Wii Bells Bell review after 2 months since my May schedule. That I said that I'm only doing these reviews because I'm not going to be able to do them the next time I get to them for a while. But considering that one of my reviews of my April 2020 schedule didn't do so well, I decided to scrap my original plans of one of my cartoon reviews, and then switched it with this review on another Wii Bells Bell review. I honestly don't know what else to do, but I honestly think that I'm just trying to do the best to get the most subs and views depending on what episode I review. Anyway, this is Wii Bell's Hurricane Hall. The episode opens up with Professor Lampwick telling the story of three bells, obviously the main characters of the show, are all separated when a hurricane is about to come in their way at the city and their activities. Grizzly Bell is taking care of the Poppy Rangers. Panda and Charlie are gonna be inside of a car because the weather's coming, and Panda's device is electronic and he doesn't want it to get wet, otherwise it won't be functional because it's not waterproof. And while Icebell and Chloe, after finishing the roller skates, decides to head home before the storm picks in because the hurricane is gonna be much more bigger since it's called Hurricane Hall. And that's the three stories of this 11-minute episode. Out of most of the episodes that I've heard and seen from the show, this episode actually involves the three bells completely separating each other. This episode isn't about Grizzly, Icebell, and Panda Bell hanging out together. They're all separated doing their own things. Doing separate things, actually. Which really makes this episode a lot more unique because since that they're mostly older and they can handle themselves, it really makes their character development and relationship a lot more better by not being together most of the time. And just seeing these characters going through a predicament because the hurricane is coming and they're completely separated with each other really gives them their own character traits on how to do their own situations and their own solutions on their own. And besides, I actually really think that's probably one of the reasons onto why this episode is one of the best Wii Bell episodes from some fans. And the fact that this episode is actually 11 minutes long, I really starting to convince that this show can handle 11-minute episodes a lot more better than I actually thought. I really think that if they do a 22-minute episode, they will probably do the best to make the episode a lot more entertaining. I just really think these are one of the reasons onto why I'm starting to like Wii Bells the more I think about it. Seriously, it's this episode alone, just seeing Grizzly, Icebell, and Panda doing their own separate things while dealing with the storm. I honestly think that this is why I completely enjoy them so much. And I honestly think that if I watch more of this, I might consider on doing a month dedicated to Wii Bells if I have the plans on doing it. I don't have plans on doing it this year, maybe next year, but I honestly don't know, and besides I have to watch more episodes. But I gotta say, this episode really surprised me so much of how everything the Wires had to do in order to make three stories somehow being connected with each other, but at the same time have the bells completely away from each other. Let's go talk about the Hurricane Hall, not the episode title. I'm talking about the storm itself. Considering that in this universe, they treat this hurricane as one of the worst things ever. Now yes, hurricanes are obviously bad luck in the real world. But at the same time, considering they're trying to make a real life situation happen in this episode, I honestly think that they probably want to do a lot when it comes to what the bears are getting themselves into. Like Panda Bear, who is completely afraid of snakes, and the fact that there's so many animals because Charlie allows them to be inside his car. I can understand the stress that he's dealing with. He's probably not a animal person, despite the fact that he is an animal, and the fact that he just wants to make sure that it's only him and Charlie in the car, because he's just too concerned to be so worried about the animals. Everything else really makes the running time really good for 11 minutes. Mainly the relationship of Icebell and Chloe. To me, Icebell, despite the fact that he's mostly subtle when it comes to his dialogue, is still a really likable character of how he's being really responsible towards Chloe, who is the longest. And this is the second time I'm talking about Chloe, while the first one was at the Christmas parties reveal I made last year in December. In my opinion, I honestly think that they really know how to make these relationships work if the writing is actually done right, and this episode does it correctly. Grizzly's situation on just trying to have all the kids stay inside of the Rangers building is obviously a task they can handle, but at the same time, Wallace, who is this character in the screenshot, wants to fly his kite outside despite the fact that it's raining and the hurricane is getting worse and worse. But even though that he really didn't listen to Grizzly Bell's instructions, Grizzly Bell will still save him because he's still a little child, and the fact that little child just doesn't understand the situations or what happens in the surroundings. Not being rude, I'm just being truthful. Because let's be honest, if you were taking care of someone else's ranger's house and taking care of these childs, you will probably do everything you can to keep them protected during a storm like this, since the storms are a lot more complicated than in ranger duties that involves nature and going into the woods and stuff like that. Because let's be honest, that's the mostly about what nature is about on becoming a ranger. And I'm not even talking about the most of what this episode really made me happy about. The relationship of Icebell and Chloe, after they're running away from a train that's about to run them over, they really want to make sure that Icebell is really passionate about what happens around his surroundings. Because he was about to use Chloe in a train accident. And then he completely steps in front of her so that he can make the sacrifice. In all honesty, even though that this sacrifice didn't actually happen in the episode, it was a really, really passionate thing that Icebell did just to protect Chloe from getting killed. I'm not being violent. This is a really serious situation that no other cartoon has done. Okay, there are cartoons that have done this before, but I haven't watched all of them. Please don't judge me. Getting back to Panda, just when Charlie's car was about to crash into something, one of the snakes that Charlie allowed in his car actually unbuckled Panda's seatbelts, just trying to save Panda's life. And they both escape while having the car completely crashing into a power line. With this, the train that Icebell is trying to protect Chloe from has completely stopped. And that's really what really completely makes this episode a lot more entertaining, is that these three stories are still connected even when the bears aren't together. This show can actually do so many amazing things that I'm just watching a few episodes of this show and I'm actually really enjoying myself on how they put so much effort into this. Believe me, this is one of those episodes that if you haven't seen this show, then go watch this episode. Even though that this is part of season 3, and the fact that this episode came out 2.5 years ago, it doesn't make a difference. This episode really does everything right when it comes to the three bears doing their own separate things, while also being connected with each other. Granted, Grizzly's plot had nothing to do with the Icebell and Panda plots, but at the same time, Grizzly Bell is one of the main characters in this episode. So if they actually leave him out of this episode, then the two bears won't be the same without three. As for Professor Lampwick, who is in this episode and makes some episodes in this show, I honestly think that he's mainly the narrator and just trying to actually make this episode a lot more mature than anyone else makes it out to be. When it comes to narrators, it's either just trying to be funny or goofy or sometimes being lighthearted. But this, he's also being serious while also just trying to make the episode work on with his narration. The scene where he completely says about what the three bears are dealing with because of the Hurricane Hal is one of the best moments I've seen from him, and this is the first time I've seen him. If he actually does appear again in the show, which he obviously will, I will mix that up, he will actually make a main episode appearance so that he can actually do something with the three bears. Granted, it will probably be a bit off, but at the same time, the three bears are talking to so many people around that it doesn't feel awkward to actually think that talking animals in front of humans is crazy. Well, in some movies that are constructed really poorly. I really enjoyed this episode. As of now, it's one of my favorite episodes I've seen from the show. And I'm still having so much more to do that I really need to put a lot more focus on seeing the good episodes and also trying to hopefully think that I can actually make a month dedicated to it, mainly reviewing episodes. Granted, it would take more time than necessary, but at the same time, I always have planned scheduled months when it comes to materials that I like the most. So I honestly think that you'll probably see I'm really hope that you actually look forward to what I have to offer for We Bear Bears month, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. Anyway, I give Hurricane Hal a 9.5 out of 10. I really hope I look at more episodes from the show so I can actually see more gems in the Bear's Cave. Okay, that pun was pretty bad, but at the same time, I'm just wanting to make some kind of references to this show since I'm giving a liking to.